Day 379 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. Alright, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 1550, 3 consecutive odds. The difficulty level is easy, so you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. Given an integer array R, return true if there are 3 consecutive odd numbers in the array, otherwise return false. Alright, y'all, so I understand that's a simple and easy question, y'all, but we really need to make sure that we strengthen our fundamentals and have a strong grasp on the basics. So it's always important to do these easy questions when they come up, just to make sure that we understand the basics, and this is a problem that everybody should be able to do. So let's get into it and look at these examples. So in example 1, we have the input R equals an array of integers 2, 6, 4, and 1. Output is false. Explanation says there are no 3 consecutive there are no 3 consecutive odds. So as you can see in this integer array, we have 3 consecutive even numbers right here. These 3 numbers are even, but we only have 1 odd. So if we only have 1 odd, that means there's no way we can have 3 consecutive odds. So we return false because we return true if there are 3 consecutive odd numbers. So let's go ahead and take a look at example 2, just where it's an example of a case where we do have 3 consecutive odd numbers, so we can see what that looks like. So in example 2, we have the input R equals an array of integers 1, 2, 34, 3, 4, 5, 7, 23, and 12. This time the output is true. Explanation says 5, 7, 23 are 3 consecutive odds. So in this array, we have 3 consecutive odds. We have a 5, 7, and 23. Those are 3 consecutive odd numbers in the array. And since we found our 3 consecutive odd numbers, we just return true. So we're only returning true or false, y'all. That's all we have to do. It's that easy. So now that we understand the question, y'all, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. As y'all, I'm sure y'all have imagined or have guessed, the solution is not that difficult to understand at all. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to handle cases where the input array is less than 3 integers, because if the input array is less than 3 integers, then we can't have 3 consecutive odd numbers. So for that, we're just going to use a guard statement by saying guard r.count is greater than 2, else we could just return false. Boom. Now we could come right here, we could say for I in 0 up to r.count minus 2. We're going to open up the brackets, and we're going to see what we're going to do. Now, I'll explain why it's minus 2 as we get further along in the code, but you're about to see now. So we're going to say if r square bracket I mod 2 does not equal 0, then we know it's an odd number. So what this does right here is this is going to find the remainder for us. So if we divide a number by 2 and the remainder is not 0, then we know it's an odd number. Because if the remainder is if we don't have any remainders when we divide by 2, that means it's an even number. But if we do have a remainder when we divide by 2, that means it's an odd number. So we're just checking to make sure that the remainder is not 0. And if it's not 0, that means we have 1 odd number. But remember, we need 3 odd numbers consecutively. So for that, we're going to say and, 2 and signs, r square bracket. This time we're going to say I plus 1. And we're going to do the same thing. Mod 2 does not equal 0. Then we know that number is an odd as well. Then we need to do it one more time for the last number, because remember, we need 3 consecutive numbers. So this time we're going to say r square bracket I plus 2. That's why we do this negative 2 right here, for when we get to the end of the array, we'll know to stop right here. because I plus 2 would be the end of the array. So then we come right here, do the same thing, make sure that when we divide it by 2, there's no remainders. Then after that, we could just say return true. If all of these things come back as true, then we could return true. Else, if we go through this and we don't find 3 consecutive numbers, then we could just come right here, or 3 consecutive odd numbers, we could just come right here and say return false. So let's go ahead and give this a run before we submit it, make sure it works. Let's see, it's accepted. So let's go ahead and submit it now that we know it's been accepted. Let's see. And look at that, y'all. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users. Those are some good numbers right there. So with that being said, y'all, I hope you learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.